Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you here. My name is Woody White. I'm chairman of Opportunity for North Carolina. Opportunity for NC is a social welfare organization that works within the scope of other C4s to make North Carolina a better place to live. Our mission is to promote principles of excellence in education, free market economics, international trade, sports tourism, and family flourishing. And we support ideas and problem solving consistent with the mission. And you two gentlemen support a lot of the same things that we do. And we welcome you here today, and we appreciate your time. Representative Jones is here with us. He was born and raised in Columbus County, where he now represents his home county in the State House. Representative Jones entered politics with a promise of bringing real-world experience to the legislature. He's now serving his fifth term. He's the House Majority Leader, chairs the House Transportation and Appropriations Committee, and plays a leading role in shaping the state's budget and infrastructure priorities. He and his wife, Angela, have two daughters. Thank you for being with us today, Brenden. Senator Michael Lee grew up in a military family in a small town of Dunn, North Carolina, where his father ran a medical practice. Senator Lee blends legal expertise and business and civic engagement with his work in the legislature. And he now represents New Hanover County in the North Carolina Senate in the middle of his fifth term as the Senate Majority Leader. And he co-chairs appropriations and base budget and education. He and his wife, Heidi, have 4 children. Thank you for being with us today, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
So we're just going to have a conversation and talk about a few things facing North Carolina and get your perspectives as majority leaders of your respective chambers. The first question I'll ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Representative Jones, is what's the state of the state? And in light of last week's designation as the number one state in America to do business in, what has the legislature done to allow that to happen, and what's it going to do moving forward to maintain that ranking?
Well, first off, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and thank you for moderating this, and thank you to my good friend Michael Lee for agreeing to be with me today. It's always great to be number one, and we're on the coattails of folks that came before us that saw opportunities a few years ago when we switched the General Assembly from Democrat to Republican. We always had the better fiscal conservative ideas. We've implemented those, and I think that it has shown where the state went from a $2 billion deficit to having over $5 billion in rainy day fund. So I think we've done an excellent job with the taxpayers' monies, making sure we spend those monies wisely while not raising taxes. So I think our conservative values and the conservative policies we've put in place have really shown in the last few years.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thank you as well for having me and for the Leader Jones to be here with me. And he's exactly right. I mean, a lot of folks like to take credit for things that happened today over the last, year or two, but this has been a very long time in the making. And I think this is the third time we've been number one in 4 years. And, the metrics that they utilize for the ranking is, it's called number one in business, but it ranks things like workforce and education and infrastructure, all those kind of key things that we're working on all the time. And so while we've been able to kind of maintain that record in the country, building on the folks that came before us, we've got the responsibility to make sure we kind of continue that path moving forward. And I think both the House and the Senate are really making remarkable progress in that regard.
Well, part of the calculus of these companies that look to expand or look to grow is tax policy. And you look to the Southeast, and we have a lot of states that have a better, more business-friendly tax policy. You have some that have worse. Do you see North Carolina embracing some different tax policies moving forward that might continue to incentivize businesses to come here and grow their business here?
I think we've got a really good record with tax policy, and it's not just corporate income tax, personal income tax, but it's things like what people don't even think of, the franchise tax. And so it's the whole kind of mix in the way that we work through it, and not just looking at income taxes, but really kind of broadening the base to make sure that it's not carried by individuals or industry by itself. And so I think that's really helped us become more business friendly, but also has made it more equitable as we move forward.
Well, I think to add on that, just something that folks don't look at sometimes, is North Carolina as a whole. we just can offer so much more than the states around us. I mean, we've got from the coast to the mountains.
Yeah.
The way we do business, the way we conduct ourselves, the way that we cater to the folks that's interested in coming to North Carolina. Just having been on the lead with Toyota when we were doing those things. Some companies are looking for incentives, but they're also looking for what value that its citizens in that state can bring to their company. And I think we've done a really, really good job in highlighting North Carolina and North Carolinians to bring those businesses.
Well, they look at a lot of things, and certainly one of the things is the quality of education from K through 12 and higher ed, community college system, and we have a lot of things for which to be very proud, North Carolina. But in the last 10 years, the legislature has increased funding for public education nearly 50%, and its enrollment has dropped 5% in a very fast-growing state. And that math just doesn't seem to add up. So I know you guys have done a lot to increase teacher pay, expand school choice to give people without choice. But what are some of the things that you look in the future at trying to make our public education system better, not just from a funding perspective, but from a perspective that will continue to want people to move here and grow their businesses here and raise their families here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come through competency-based education and elimination of the Carnegie unit, time as a proxy for learning. So because I've been in this class for 1 year, I will have learned that topic or that subject. And I think that as we kind of move into where, honestly, the rest of the world is from a education perspective or a learning perspective, I think you're going to see that hopefully move forward. We started in some of that with something called Spark NC in North Carolina a number of years ago, really just kind of focused on technology and the computer science requirement. And you're going to see it hopefully come with health occupations and in some of those areas, and this is really in the K-12 space. And there's some opportunity for community colleges to already do it, but they really are not moving forward in that regard. And so once we're able to kind of get that competency-based education, you can kind of move at your own pace, utilizing generative AI for personalized learning in K-12 and even in the community college and higher ed space, as well as establishing competencies and getting credit. One of the bills that both of us support and worked on is in hiring for state government, where if you have a competency based on prior experience, you may not have that degree, but if you've got that competency already through your prior experience, whether it's the military or otherwise, you can go ahead and move into that particular role, and there's no reason why our education system should not be embracing that.
Well, for so long, education systems as a whole or governmental systems tend to resist innovation, tend to resist any change. And what Senator Lee just talked about was a critical bill that you both supported and passed, and the governor signed into law. So what are some other examples moving forward of some innovations that you guys can look at to improve our schools and to ensure families that are moving here that their kids are going to have jobs?
Well, I think, Leader Lee hit on something that's very important. I want to make a statement. One of the smartest men I've ever known was one of the most uneducated. And there's a complete difference between being smart and being educated. So I think where we're moving the bar, especially in my district, is we're using this workforce development. Try to get a plumber, try to get an air conditioner guy out, and those are six-figure jobs. And we're now utilizing our high schools and our community colleges and moving that forward with workforce. Why school books are great and the AI is great, and there's a segment of our folks. I mean, we're the leading edge of education university system in the nation, no doubt. But there's a segment of our population that can make fantastic livings and service our citizens with the workforce development side. So these apprenticeships are huge. They're big deals. And the more that we can get under that, the more we're going to put those guys out in the workforce. We're building up families. We're building up tax base. We're building up North Carolina. And I think we're doing an awesome job. Certainly room for improvement. And I know that we're both committed to keep working with our community colleges and our school systems.
So I'm hearing you say that obviously funding is a critical part of success for really any enterprise in government. But in education, it is important, but there are more important things sometimes. Innovation and looking to the future and ensuring that our classrooms are safe and our kids are in an environment where they can learn. That's a consensus that I'm hearing.
Not how much you spend, but how you spend it.
Yeah.
And programs like Leader Jones is talking about and other projects and programs that we've got in our K-12 community college and higher ed.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Senator Lee and myself are on the same page with our prospective chambers. We're funding security for our children. We're putting money into our law enforcement. We're putting money into healthy initiatives for our kids. We're putting money into better buildings because it's easier for a kid to learn in a safe, clean environment than they are in some of the dilapidated schools. Columbus just replaced a school that was built in 1924. No running water on one side of the building. So we're making sure those things are taking place. And I mean, that is something that we're honed in together. It's not a one chamber pitted against the other chamber. Those are things that we're working on together that we want for the betterment of the state. Money doesn't fix the problem. Money helps the problem, but it's also, if those kids have a competent environment and those teachers are in a competent environment and those things are moving forward in those districts, we're seeing better outcomes as we're replacing a lot of our old dilapidated buildings. I've always said economic growth starts in the classroom. And as we're moving through the poor districts and we're working on those school systems, we're starting to see benefits getting paid off in those communities. So what we're doing is working.
Well, the media sometimes focuses on the things where you guys disagree, not you personally, but your chambers or the parties that you represent sometimes. And so it's important for venues like this to provide an opportunity to talk freely and frankly about policy and things where we can improve and move the needle. We're recording this in July of 2025. The legislature's been in session now for a few months. Without putting either one of you on the spot, we don't want to do that, but we would like an update maybe on the budget, maybe some of the areas where you agree and some of the low-hanging fruit things, and if you're willing to make a prediction or talk about the future or where the budget might go, that would be welcome too. Representative Jones?
I'll say this, I think we're on track. We're not behind. We've had great conversations, debate. We both chambers want the exact same thing in North Carolina. We want low taxes, we want good schools, we want healthy citizens, we want teacher pay. Both chambers have proven that. We want to help law enforcement. Both chambers have proven that. We're on board to do the exact same thing. Philosophically, we may have a different avenue, and that's not unusual. I mean, that goes back to the history of North Carolina. I look at this picture. We're trying to get to Raleigh. So a lot of roads to Raleigh, but sooner or later we got to get on 40. And that's kind of where we are. We're still on those side roads, but we have compiled probably, I think we're 80% to where we need to be. And predicting a certain date, I don't have that, but North Carolina is in great shape. We're paying our bills. We're doing everything we need to do. And again, I think the leader will agree with me. We're really close on all items for North Carolina. It's just how we get to that final budget.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that we've been agreeing on a lot of appropriations when it comes to our Hurricane Helene bills. I mean, billions of dollars that we've been kind of working really hard to make sure that in several bills over the course of, since the hurricane hit, to move the ball forward. And so a lot of folks say, well, the House and the Senate, they just don't agree on appropriations. I mean, we have been agreeing on quite a bit, and it's not been easy. I mean, philosophically there are some differences, but we were able to really focus in on those things and get those over the goal line. And now we are going to continue to work on the rest of the budget as well. But those are some key components that had to happen pretty quickly to get consensus on, and that's something we were able to accomplish before we got out of there.
Well, both of your times are very valuable. We appreciate it. I'm going to ask you one last question, and I'd like for you to step back and instead of answering it in the context of a session or a short session next year with the budget, just think about the next 3, 5, and 10 years of North Carolina. What do you think are our biggest challenges and our biggest opportunities? You guys are policymakers. You represent bodies of people that are policymakers that think generation ahead. What do you see coming down the pike that are good, and what do you see coming down that are challenges that we're going to face?
This is not just kind of popular, but the generative AI piece is significant on multiple levels. technology disruption has been happening forever, right? And it's disrupted typically individual sectors. But now what we see is that it's a disruption in all sectors. What I do for a living, I practice law. It is already a disruption where I am for what I would consider a young attorney, and I can extrapolate that across engineers and architects and other entry-level white-collar jobs. And once AI, which is in a computer, comes into the tangible world with advanced robotics and things that are already happening, I think that it's going to impact not just the finance piece, our tax policy. It's going to impact appropriations for how we're staffing our government. There'll be some amazing savings that will accrue to state government that private businesses are already starting to see. And so that is something that is both something that's good and also a significant challenge. And we as legislators are going to have to kind of get our arms around all those different pieces and policy moving forward while we're still operating, for today on what's going on now. Those things are going to happen maybe 12 months, 24 months, 5 years from now, but still kind of maintain government as it exists, today and tomorrow and next week. So I think those are some of the things that we're going to have to deal with cross-sector, cross-agency, and cross-substantive areas within what we appropriate and how we collect revenue.
That's great, thank you. When you're number one, you always have a target on your back. And I think we've got to be very mindful and very careful as we're legislating for the future that we keep in mind of where we've been and where we want to go. South Carolina, being on a border county myself, they're always, I'm with my counterparts across, we're always battering back and forth about, they are the lesser Carolina, I know, but we just got to be careful that we don't drop the ball, that we keep doing the really good policies that we've done for the last decade, and we're legislating for the future while taking care of it, as the leader said. So that's very important we keep in mind how the state's growing. I'm voting on legislation today that I never imagined 9 years ago when I stepped in that chamber. And I don't know that I'll be here in 9 years, but I'm sure in 9 months the legislation will be even different than what we anticipate today. So we've just always got to be ready and have those resources available to us that we can make sure that we're still doing the best tax policies, the best education policies, the best health policies. North Carolina is just a state that's different than everyone else because we offer everything in this state. We've got the best education, we got some of the best hospitals, and we got the greatest people. So we've just got to always be formulating for those factors as we go forward. And I think we do a good job, and the folks coming after us, we just got to help prepare them to be there too. So it's always a challenge when you have that target, but I want to continue being number one, as I know the leader does as well.
Well, we were talking off camera before about laws that have been on the books and funding models for decades and decades, and the legislators, leaders that came before you guys that made those decisions, and we're the great state we are because of a lot of those decisions. And so your job is not easy. We commend you for doing it. We support you, and on behalf of Opportunity for North Carolina, we really appreciate you both giving so freely of your time today. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.